It's time for us to impeach this president.
That's why I'm saying the House of Representatives should move towards impeachment proceedings.
I support impeaching this president.
Clearly constitutes adequate information to begin an impeachment proceeding in the House of Representatives.
We should begin impeachment proceedings against Donald Trump.
Unfit to be president and warrants impeachment, trial, and removal from office.
We are considering what to do about it, including the possible voting of articles of impeachment.
Well, I think you get the idea. Despite calls from Democrats to remove the president from office, it turns out that the majority of Americans do not think that the president should be impeached. The Democrat-controlled House has already held one vote for impeachment, and 56%, that is, of the party's caucus does support an impeachment inquiry. But the polls show otherwise, which suggests, well, it could be a losing strategy, right? Joining me now is presidential historian Doug Wead and conservative author and speaker David Harris. Thank you, gentlemen, both for being here. Doug, let me begin with you, if I could. What on earth? I feel like this is the Mueller report all over again. Russia, 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 Russia. We finally get the report, no collusion. This whole going down the rabbit hole of impeachment, I just think it's a losing strategy and just shows the hatred they have for the president.
Yeah, actually, it's you notice in that poll, even the independents don't want impeachment. I think the Democrats have lost their way. They need to be positive. You remember, even in the midst of the civil rights era, you'll remember Hubert Humphrey. He was called the happy warrior. And the politicians then emphasized being positive, being happy. I think the Democrats need to find somebody who's for something, not against someone. They're going to be hurt otherwise.
Well, that's very difficult in this age because this is a party that's being pulled further and further to the left. They hate the president. They don't want him there. David, I mean, to me, to be honest with you, this is a strategy that's going to win for the GOP.
It absolutely is, Ashley. Thank you again so much for having me. You know, they don't have anything of substance to run on. The Democrats and every single Democrat candidate that wants to continue to try to push a narrative that I think the American people are getting tired of hearing is that Donald Trump's a racist. He's not fit to be president. Look, we've had record-breaking numbers in the stock market. Dow, people's 401ks are going through the roof. Record low unemployment for black Americans, Hispanic Americans, 50-year-plus low for women. I just got off of on my show earlier, I had a black individual that was released from the Prison Reform Act that the president signed that was denied clemency under Obama. The black American community is waking up, and they are 100%, I think, going to continue to find more reasons to support this president.
Well, that's a good. Let me follow up on that if I can, David. Does that actually result in votes, and is the president doing enough to get that message out?
Well, you know, I think he's doing what he can. I do what I can on my website, davidharrisjr.com. I have a show on there. I try to bring the things that most of the mainstream media doesn't bring. You guys do an amazing job of trying to showcase and highlight things that the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about. With Keith, for example, the gentleman I interviewed today, he said that none of his family has anything to say negative about the president. While some of them may before he got out, that's going to have ripple effects through the black community as I think the numbers are close to 5,000 inmates. 90% of them are black, have been released from a prison reform bill that the president did not have to sign, but he did. That's going to continue to reverberate through the black community, and people are going to stop having things to say negative because they're not going to want to hear it because they got their loved one home. He said he has 8 kids and 16 grandkids, and they hop on his lap. They call him Papa. They love having him home. The president is reuniting families with their loved ones.
You never hear that story, David. To your point, you never do. Doug, let me bring you back in. You're a presidential historian. I think you've interviewed 6 presidents. How different is Donald Trump to the other presidents you've met? I'm just interested.
He's different than all of them. But I think he's a great president, what David was just talking about, because presidents are ranked based on the economy, based on how they deal with war. This president is the first one in 40 years not to start a hot war. They're judged and ranked based on communication skills. He's transformational when it comes to communication. But the big one is the economy.
Yes.
The thing that troubles me, Alex, is what you mentioned earlier with David. The polls show that only 60% of Americans believe that they got an increase of income from the tax deduction, but the IRS numbers show that 90% did. So the media is having an impact in speaking to the American people.
It's interesting, isn't it? You know, David, what's interesting to me is that we see Democrats and the mainstream media constantly trying to talk down the economy. They would absolutely love it if we go into a recession prior to the election next November, which to me is just insane. Why would you want, it's purely because of the hatred of Donald Trump that they want the economy to go south so he won't get reelected. To me, that's just insane.
It is insane. I think every American that hears anybody say that a recession would be worth it if we got rid of this president should step back and ask themselves, whose side are they on? Because if you're on the side of America and of Americans working, then you're not going to be you're not going to be party to and affiliated with individuals that would hope for a recession that would be devastating for millions of families across this country. And that's really the divide that we're at right now, is Americans have to ask themselves, are they going to continue to side with a party that they've maybe sided with for decades, or are they going to side with a party that's actually wanting to put America first, put Americans back to work? And like Keith, one more thing I had to share with Keith is that he's just got out of prison and he just got a job yesterday. So if the economy wasn't booming, if there weren't jobs available, then that wouldn't be happening. But it is happening, and it's all happening because of this president.
And there are more jobs open than there are people looking. And you know, to your point, it's amazing. The economy is just humming along. We're already out of time. Doug and David, thank you so much for sticking around on a Friday night to talk with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. Coming up, far left celebrity activist Leonardo DiCaprio